Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 31st of March. And today we will start from the Nikolaev region. Today we got the news that Ukrainian forces they're attacking from the Kryvyi Rih in the direction of the Kherson town. This is the Kherson. And these attacks and during those attacks they managed to take a few towns. It's not the big towns. We could say that it's like a farms where you can find few houses or something like this. But what is the most important and this information we can find also on the other map from the Russian source map. So that's mean that it's obviously true. Ukrainian forces they're taking these towns. So let's try to figure out what happens there. Some Ukrainian sources say that they managed to take this town as a result of heavy clashes. Russian sources they're saying that because of the regrouping of Russian forces, there is no need and it's not very good idea to control such a big territory here because most of the forces from this front line were dropped to the Mariupol and Donbas border region. So that's why they decided to leave here a few thousand soldiers who will be able to control town Nova Kakhovka and town Kherson, so this river. And so that's why the Russian forces left all these towns and Ukrainian forces step by step coming into the empty towns or something like that. So we'll see what's going to be next. Now we're moving to the west. Another very important news today came from the region named Guliai-Pole. This is the region. In this area, on the south of town Zaporozhye, there are two very important territories: town named Orekhov and town named Guliai-Pole. We can call this as a fortified area. A lot of Ukrainian troops are there in this town and in this town. And as far as I can see, and according to the information we got, Ukrainian forces they managed to free some towns in the east, from town Guliai-Pole. It's also small farms. Before this town Guliai-Pole used to be blockaded from all sides except north. But today we got information that Ukrainians managed to free all these small towns. And it's also the same thing as we discussed with Kherson. According to the regroup, Russian forces, they're leaving all territories they don't need to protect, and they are leaving the territories that don't have any value for them. And they're moving to more stable and more reliable positions. For example, Russian forces they moved from Guliai-Pole to the south, to this river. It's much more easier and better to protect these territories on this river because we understand and we know that the operation in Donbas border will take a lot of time. So during that time, they need to protect themselves. They need to establish a very stable front line, and it should be established in a very safe place. So that's why they step back and retreat on a very comfortable place. Another very important thing about the Ukrainian forces. If you see that all towns were freed on the east of fortified area Guliai-Pole. And if you can see, there is a pattern in these actions. You see that it's not just the free town, free farms on the east direction. It's the direction in the global scope at all. I can say that Ukrainian forces dropped their reinforcement from Guliai-Pole fortitude area to town Velika Novosilka. This is a town we were speaking about yesterday, one of the most important towns in the Donbas border story. From this town, Russian forces, they're already in the suburbs of this town, and they're planning to take this town as fast as possible. From this town, they will be able to attack this road, to cut this road, and to come into Kurakhov from the west. And they will be able to attack Kurakhov from the west, east, and the south, and so on. So this is very important town. Ukrainians from the Gulyae-Polye fortified area, they understand that, and they're dropping there their reinforcement. Another very important thing about this Velika Novosilka town, yesterday, if you remember, we spoke about the cutting of this road, right? So we discussed about the creating the plans of Russians to create Donbas border in this area, and today I got very interesting information and like some kind of improvement of my words. If we will open this map, we will see this. This is the battlefield near the town New York. And as I told, if you remember, I told you that Russians will try to go to the north to the New York, and then they will turn to the left. And today we got information that Russians managed to start fighting in town Novobakhmutovka. So they're moving to the left. They're slowly moving to the left, and their main road is here, H20. So this is the road they want to came to, and this will allow them to attack Avdiivka from the north. They need to clean this territory. It's a prom territory. There is a lot of factories there, and after that they will be able to go to cut the road between Pokrovsk and Bakhmut. But this is not the most important. The important thing that if Russians will be able to take Novosilka, this town, on this map, this is it. This is this territory, this town. So from this area, they will be able to attack town Pokrovsk. You see. So this is Novosilivka, Kurakhova, and then they will go to Pokrovsk. And Pokrovsk is and a lot of sources, a lot of Russian specialists says that this is the real target of the Donbas border operation, to attack Novopokrovsk from the three sides. From this side we just spoke about, from the south, and from the Izum territory. So this is the territory, this is the aim, this is the target of three Russian attacks from three sides. But also, this is also not the most important thing I would like to discuss today. I will discuss the Kiev, and then we will come back here. Also, there is a lot of information from Kiev and Chernigov region that Ukrainians also managed to free some towns. They managed to deblocate Chernigov, so this road now is free, and Chernigov has connections with Kiev. Also, you see the Ukrainians able to free the towns on the east side of Kiev and on the west. Also, we got information today that Russians there decided to leave Chernobyl, so they decided, and some people say that they also will plan to leave Bucha and Gostomel towns. But from Russians, it's mainly from West sources information. But if we're speaking about Russian source information, they're saying that they're not planning to live here, and they are planning to give battle and to continue hold this territory. So we will see what's going to be next. Now I would like to discuss the most important thing that I want to share with you my opinion. I don't know if any one of you was followed after the Syria campaign. And starting from a few days ago, like from yesterday and day or day before yesterday, all these operations start to remind me the Syria operation. We can say that Syria operation was pretty successful for Russians. They managed to clean the whole Syria, almost the whole Syria. But what was the main idea of Syria operation? And as far as I see, Ukrainian forces, they are getting into the trap as the against Assad forces got in the Syria conflict. The main idea of Syria and what was the tactic way of Russian forces in Syria is the first step was to create a stable front line. And now we see that this is exactly what the Russians are trying to do right now. Some sources say, and you can read this in my comments, that a lot of people say that Russians, they're retreating, and Ukrainians, they're free some towns, they're taking back this town. Yes, it's true. Yes, it's really true, and we see this, and there is no need to say something else. Yes, it's true. Ukrainians, they're taking back some towns, farms in all around the Ukraine, but it's not because of heavy clashes. You understand that there is a difference between taking town as taking Mariupol or taking town as taking these farms, and it's not about the idea about you're taking or you're not. It's about the clashes. I mean that Ukrainians, they didn't return Mariupol. They decided to fight there, and Russian, they need to push them and to clean this city up. For example, in this place we can see that Russian, they just left this town because they understand that they don't need this town, and there is a very big fortitude area, and around this area there is no place where they can stand very in a very safe position. There is no safe position around this town for them, so they decided to move back on more safe position. Why? Because they are not planning to attack in this region in the very nearest future. The same situation with Kherson. They are not planning their operation in the very nearest future. So that's why they decided not to control such a big territory. There is also, you see, just fields, once a few rivers, few towns among the rivers, but it's not a very good place where they can feel them safe. So it's better to come back into the fort like Kherson. So in this area they can feel themselves very safe, and we understand that Ukraine, they doesn't have force, manpower, equipment, fuel to take this town. For them it's impossible, but of course they can clean this territory totally, Ukrainian forces. The same thing on the north of Ukraine. Russians, they understand that there is no need to hold this territory at all, as I told you before, so they moved from this territory because on this territory they're losing their soldiers. They want to create a very stable front line. They want to put their forces in such places where Ukrainians will be very difficult to push them from these places, like town Hostomel. It's something like Ukrainians will try to attack, will lose energy, ammo, equipment, and there is no no result from this attack. So this is their main target. Of course, they're moving back, they're retreating, but I repeat myself, but the main idea to create a stable front line. Why are they doing so? So, if you remember the Syrian campaign, it was their first step in Syria to create a stable front line over all of Syria. When the terrorists from Idlib and ISIS, they had no possibility to continue their successful attacks. They were staying on their places. And when they did that, when they managed to did that, the next step of Russians, they created a very powerful battalion. And its name was Tigers. If you know what this Syrian Tigers. It was a very mobile, very effective battalion. And it was very easy to drop from one side of Syria to another. And the next steps of them was, it was a very big battalion, very group of army around, I don't know how much, maybe 30, maybe 40,000 of soldiers. And they started to drop these 40,000 mobile troops from one part Syria to another. For example, if you remember, when they started Operation Aleppo, they took all these forces and dropped to Aleppo. When they needed to clean Duma in Damascus, they took this army and dropped them to Damascus. When they needed to clean south, they took this army and dropped them to the south. When they needed to deblocate Deir ez-Zor, they took this army and dropped to Deir ez-Zor. So they created very powerful, very experienced group of army, and its name was Tigers. Now I see that the Russians, they are preparing another army, another group, another very effective group, and this group is Mariupol soldiers. This is very effective, very experienced guys who doesn't know what is losses. I mean, not losses in material way. They don't know how to lose. They're like in range. They are in rage. They're like not like in the real drugs, but like the euphoria. I don't know. So they're winning. They take in Mariupol, and this is very good for your morale. And I think that now this very effective group, they will start drop from one front line to another. First, they will drop this to, for example, to Donbas Boiler to help to some of these forces. Then they will drop them, for example, to Nikolaev to clean fast Nikolaev, to take Nikolaev and move further. Then they can drop them to Pavlograd, and this is their tactic. And I see that they're preparing not one effective group. One effective group is the group that's located in Mariupol. You can say like Mariupol's group of fast attacks. And another one they're preparing on the north, in Izum and Lysychansk, Rubezhnoye region. This is another very effective, very powerful group. And as soon as front line will be established, and we will see that Ukrainians cannot continue moving forward, they will start dropping these forces from one side of Ukraine to another. And I think that this is their tactic, and that's how they're planning to continue this war in the very near future. And that's it for today. Thank you for your listening. Thank you for your watching. Thank you for your comments. Thank everyone who is for Ukrainians and who is for Russians and who is just for peace. Thank you very much. I hope that this war ends soon, and have a good day. Bye bye.